Hey you, yeah you who clicked on this video. Thanks for giving our channel a shot. And if you will, please do us the honor of watching the video all the way through. Appreciate it. Now onto the video.
And, and Africans, I hate. No, I'm serious. I don't like Africans because they have an attitude. Africans act like they mad at us. Why do they have attitude? Look down. What is the attitude for? They got the shit twisted. No, we're mad at you. We waited and nobody came for us.
It's funny how when Hollywood wants to push the message, a bunch of movies start popping up all with the same theme. It's almost like they do it on purpose, like they're on code or on message. Well, what am I talking about? Well, today I'm talking about the emergence of basically the erasure of Black femininity in Hollywood projects. In particular, we're going to be looking at two movies that will be releasing this year. The first of which is called The Woman King, which on its face just shows how much they really think of Black femininity in general. And the reason I say that is because look at the name, The Woman King. You literally went out of your way not to use the word queen, which is what a female ruler would be, but rather call the movie The Woman King. So let's talk about it. So The Woman King is basically supposed to be a historical epic, and I use historical very loosely because as we'll speak about later, this movie does a bunch of different things as far as history is concerned, and just playing fast and loose with the events that happened and the people that it happened to. So this film is about the Agoji, which are a all-female warrior regiment for the West African kingdom of Dahomey. I hope I'm saying that right, but I'm probably. And this is occurring in the 19th century. Now, what makes this interesting is, like, especially if you look at the trailer, the women. By the way, this movie stars Viola Davis. Also stars Lashana Lynch, which she's always in these movies that are trying to take away Black femininity, like every single time. But anyway, I digress. So Viola Davis, Lashana Lynch, and one of my favorites, John Boyega, which is actually really sad, especially given the topic that we're about to discuss. But it's about basically the encroachment of European armies and soldiers on the nation of Dahomey, and their king, King Gezo, played by John Boyega, basically trying to get his military forces led by Viola Davis's General Naniska. God, I know I'm butchering these names, but I'm trying real hard, guys. But basically trying to get her to advise him on how they should deal with the situation and whether or not they're going to go to war. And especially like in the trailer, you definitely see a lot of women taking on very masculine behaviors, very masculine looks. Everything about them is very masculine, and it's really interesting that this in particular is the story that they wanted to go with. And the reason that I say that is because historically, these warriors were slave raiders. And what does that mean? That means that they would basically go into other West African countries and kidnap people so that they could then sell them for profit in the transatlantic slave trade. In particular, their king, King Gezo, was one of the most notorious slave traders in West Africa. And even after the Europeans, especially the English, stopped their slave trade and begged King Gezo to stop, he refused because of how much money he was making from selling out his own countrymen. So it's just very interesting that Hollywood always wants you to root for your destruction or root for the characters of your destruction. In particular, this person was an avid slave trader, and his army of female warriors were his enforcement arm of gathering up other Africans for slavery. So this, just like I say, it just screams this whole this female warrior narrative. Not to say that there weren't female warriors. There are female warriors. These warriors existed. You know, the the Agoji warriors existed in history, just like in other countries, like in what we would call Ireland and Scotland. There were female picked warriors. There have been female warriors throughout history, but the way that they're depicting these warriors here is basically a stand-in for males. And for the most part, these warriors were stand-ins for males because a lot of the males of this particular African nation were either killed off or sold into slavery due to what was going on with the international wars in that part of Africa and basically the transatlantic slave trade. So this is very interesting. It was reported that in this particular country, it was one female soldiers for every male soldier. And again, the reason for that is because there was a shortage of males because of the transatlantic slave trade. So this guy was literally selling his own people into slavery and then depending on his women to fill up the slack in their military. So I just thought that was interesting. But then we move on to like a movie like Black Panther 2. And Black Panther 2 is basically, and I have to say this and be on record saying this so when it happens, you guys aren't confused, but essentially Black Panther 2, post the passing of Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, is going to be Marvel fans paying to watch water Mexicans beat up black women for 2 hours. That's what's going to happen because that is the new demographic that Marvel is going to be going for with this particular iteration of the movie. Why do I say that? Well, instead of doing the smart thing, Kevin Feige decided that he was going to push more of the MCU into the Black Panther franchise, especially with Chadwick Boseman being dead. He had many options. He could have made Michael B. Jordan's character into the Black Panther, redeeming that character and bringing him back to life. He could have made the M'Baku character, who's played by Winston Duke, into the new Black Panther. They could have been 2 Black Panthers, one played by T'Challa's sister Shuri, and the other played by M'Baku. And they could have shared the role given that the heart-shaped herb had been destroyed by Killmonger in the first movie. Or they could have just done the simplest thing, the most logical thing, and just recast the role like they do with every other superhero since the beginning of time. They're like 4 Batmans, there's like 5 Spider-Man, but yet, recasting Black Panther was just impossible. No, what they wanted to do was they wanted to show the Dora Milaje, even though the Wakandans have a male military that patrols the border. The Dora Milaje is really the King's Guard, but they are basically showing the Dora Milaje led by Shuri and the Queen Mother and Okoye, and they are going to be going up against one of the most formidable armies in the MCU, that being the Atlanteans, led by Namor, who has been race swapped into a Mexican, and his, nation of water Mexicans, and they are going to be decimating these women for 2 hours. And if you don't believe that, just look at the trailer. Look at the comics. The Wakandans had a genuine problem fighting the Atlanteans. That's a storyline in Marvel Comics. And they were being led by their king T'Challa in the comic book, which he is not obviously in this iteration of this story. So, like I say, you're literally going to be paying to watch water Mexicans beat up on black women for 2 hours. And make no mistake, they're not going to allow Namor the Submariner to lose this fight. He may realize the error of his ways, he might redeem himself and stop being a villain, but he is not going to get beaten by Shuri and the Wakandans. Rather, he will have a change of heart. Mark my words, I said this on this date, because when it happens, I will be back with a follow-up video when I inevitably review Black Panther 2. That's what's going to happen. And that is what I mean by the erasure of the feminine traits from black images in Hollywood. Like, they don't want black women to be seen as feminine. They want them to be seen as masculine and very tough and strong, but not a female way of being strong, but in the traditional male way. And that's what we're seeing going forward with these films. Now, if we get a trifecta and we get another film that is doing this, I wouldn't be surprised. They always cast the same actresses in these roles. And it's always just really sad because a lot of these actresses are so very talented, yet they're relegated to playing these, I hate to quote this person, but what Anita Sarkeesian would have called the Miss Man trope, where basically you cast a woman to behave like a man for the entire film. And that's what's happening in both of these movies. And I just think that it's sad. And it's really just a waste of time because audiences are not going to respond to this favor. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, whether or not you think that The Woman King, God, I hate that title, and Black Panther 2 are going to be smash hits, or whether or not you think that Hollyweird is just going in a really strange direction, trying to divide the black man, the black woman, women and men in general, regardless of race, and that these types of tactics are really just, ringing hollow to the viewing audience. Let me know what you guys thought about this in the comment section below. We'll get you on the next one. 8-Bit Heroes out. Peace.
If you'd like to get a shout out on the channel, then hit that like button, maybe share it with a couple of friends, and do us the biggest honor of all, and subscribe to the channel so you can join the 8-Bit Heroes family. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon so you can be notified when our new videos come out.